Pulse of Africa. The face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Welcome to Pulse of Africa News. I'm Gamachisa Mandida. We bring you inspiring stories and significant events shaping the continent of Africa. We start with Ethiopia. The government's bold and prudent decisions have enabled the country to achieve economic stability and sustained growth, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed noted. A conference dedicated to evaluating the performance and efficiency of major national financial institutions was held under the theme Finance Forward Ethiopia. The event provided a platform to reflect on Ethiopia's ongoing economic reform journey and to define priorities for the future. At the forum, leaders of Ethiopia's principal financial and regulatory institutions presented performance reports highlighting the country's recent economic progress. Following the presentations, a discussion was held. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed addressed questions from the participants and highlighted the government's achievements as well as its key focus areas. He acknowledged the fact that the series of economic reforms launched since he took office in 2018 have positively altered Ethiopia's economic trajectory. These reforms were designed to address long-standing challenges including macroeconomic imbalances, a heavy debt burden, foreign exchange shortages, and market instability. As a result, Ethiopia has recorded tangible outcomes and emerged as one of the fastest-growing economies in Africa. The first and second homegrown economic reform programs have laid the foundation for strong and modern institutions and introduced innovative and efficient strategies to boost government revenue. Government revenue has grown significantly since the reforms began, with notable progress in tax collection. The adoption of digital systems has strengthened transparency and accountability, leading to widespread use of electronic tax filing and payments. Overall, the revenue sector has shown remarkable improvements in recent years. The government has introduced reforms that have contributed to macroeconomic stability. Inflation declined from over 30% in June 2019 to 9.7% by December 2025, while foreign exchange reforms have helped increase currency availability and narrow the gap between official and pearl market rates. The Prime Minister underlined that such dramatic changes would not have been achieved without the government's bold and wise decisions. As part of its broader reform agenda to modernize the economy and harness abundant national resources, Ethiopia has also established key institutions such as the Ethiopian Capital Market Authority, Ethiopian Investment Holdings, and the Ethiopian Communications Authority. These institutions are playing a pivotal role in strengthening market governance, attracting investment, and unlocking the country's untapped economic potential. Prime Minister Abiy acknowledged that despite the visible gains achieved through the reforms, Ethiopia has yet to fully realize its economic potential. He stressed that future efforts must focus on unlocking the country's vast untapped resources to sustain inclusive and long-term growth. Newly accredited African ambassadors to Ethiopia have expressed their strong commitment to collaborating with the country to promote shared African interests and ensure the continent receives the global recognition it deserves. Ethiopian President Taye Askesulasi today received the credentials of 14 newly appointed ambassadors from various nations. During the ceremony and discussions, the diplomats highlighted opportunities to strengthen both bilateral and multilateral ties across key sectors, while emphasizing the vital role of unity in advancing Africa's collective agenda on the international stage. Zambian Ambassador Albert Muchanga underscored the urgency of Africa's active participation in shaping evolving global order. He noted that upon gaining independence, African nations had to adapt to a pre-existing world system. However, he stressed, as the world is changing now, Africa should be part of the designers of the changing world order.
As the world is changing now, Africa should be part of the designers of the changing world order. At the time of independence, this great country was not colonized, we thank God, but most of the countries, when they got independent, they had to fit in the world order that we found. Now, with this change that is coming, Africans must get together to say, how do we collaborate to ensure that we are also the designers of that world order? And Ethiopia and Zambia, having that long history, I think he can collaborate very well there.
Ambassador Muchanga called for greater collaboration among African countries to influence global affairs. To harness the potential of the African continental free trade area, he advocated for the development of cluster industries capable of sustainably supplying goods to the continent's emerging large market.
Most of our industries across Africa, they were designed for the national markets. So there's a lot of scope for entrepreneurs from the two countries to get together to say, how do we cluster our industries so that we are able to supply this large market? So that's a great opportunity.
He further recommended progressing toward a customs union and a common external tariff, ultimately leading to a robust single market. Reflecting on his return to Addis Ababa, Ambassador Muchanga affirmed his focus on consolidating bilateral relations between Zambia and Ethiopia. He identified promising arenas for cooperation, including agriculture, civil aviation, mining, education, and knowledge exchange. Kenyan Ambassador Galma Mukhe Boru highlighted the power of collaboration in building a strong Africa, urging Kenya and Ethiopia as influential nations in East Africa to lead by example in fostering continental unity.
The only way is for the two countries to be able to work together. We are strong countries in the Horn of Africa and the East African region. Only by working together in unity can we be able to be strong as Africa.
He expressed enthusiasm for deepening the already historical and warm relationship between the two countries. Other diplomats, including Mauritius to Ethiopia Ambassador Indarajat Baboa, Mauritius and South Sudanese Ambassador Bak Valentino, emphasized unity, regional leadership, and the importance of strengthening long-standing ties with Ethiopia.
It's a great honor and privilege to be appointed ambassador here, where I used to work, I told you, as the African Union. I was in the cabinet I was a deputy chief of protocol here for so many years. And I think that now it will give me more, opportunities to strengthen the relations existing between, Mauritius and Ethiopia. And I'm really fascinated. I'm really happy to see the progress that has been made in the past 15 years that I was not here. And I really congratulate the government and the people of Ethiopia for this progress that, we never expected, but it's great, yeah. So I thank you very much, and I look forward to be working again with the government of Ethiopia.
There will be a lot that needs to be done. We have signed a lot of bilateral agreements between South Sudan and Ethiopia, and we will be working closely together to implement some of these bilateral agreements, including socio-economic developments like the roads connecting our two countries, promotion of trade between the two countries, political dialogue, coordination at bilateral level and also at multilateral level. So there's a lot of things that we are looking forward to in strengthening our bilateral relations with Ethiopia.
The ambassadors agreed that closer cooperation among African states is essential to promoting continental interests and achieving sustainable development.
In Ethiopia, more homes and businesses now have access to electricity. Access to power supports education, healthcare, and local businesses. Light changes lives.
Ethiopia and India have formally implemented a visual visa waiver agreement for holders of diplomatic passports, effective today, marking a significant step towards strengthening diplomatic engagement between the two countries. The agreement, which allows visa-free travel for eligible diplomatic officials of both nations, aims to ease diplomatic mobility and enhance bilateral cooperation. It was brought into force through the signing of an exchange of diplomatic notes on mutual visa exemption for holders of diplomatic passports. Speaking at the signing ceremony, Director General for Middle Eastern, Asian and Pacific Countries Affairs at Ethiopia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dewano Kedir, said the recent visit of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Ethiopia has elevated bilateral relations to a new level. He noted that efforts are underway to implement the commitment agreed upon by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Prime Minister Modi, with the visa exemption agreement being one of the key outcomes. Dewano described the implementation of the agreement as an important milestone that will further strengthen diplomatic ties, enhance mobility and deepen cooperation between the two countries.
We are celebrating, the agreement upon the visa waiver for diplomatic passport. That's very strong, I can say very good step forward, which will also tie our mobility, our relationship, our diplomatic tie. That's a big step. So thank you, Ambassador, for organizing this celebratory program. And we are happy of that, and we'll go for the implementation of visa waiver for diplomatic passport. That's a very good. So we'll continue also with the rest. India is extremely very important country for Ethiopia, not only for Ethiopia, for the global. India have a very big place, very key role in global governance, in security, in development, in every aspect. And we know the economy of India is growing. We're one of the fast growing economy. Ethiopia also growing that way.
He reaffirmed Ethiopia's commitment to fully implementing the visa exemption arrangement, highlighting India's importance to Ethiopia. Dewano emphasized that India is one of the world's fastest growing economies, noting that Ethiopia is also pursuing a similar growth trajectory, creating opportunities for closer partnership. Indian Ambassador to Ethiopia Anil Kumar Rai confirmed that the mutual visa exemption agreement is now being implemented. He described the development as a significant moment in Ethiopia-India relations, stressing that it will facilitate the movement of diplomatic passport holders who play a key role as policy makers in both countries.
Today we are going to implement the mutual visa waiver agreement between India and Ethiopia for the holders of diplomatic passport. So this is a very important moment, and this facilitates the movement of diplomatic passport holders who are considered to be the policy makers in both the governments to freely move, and that is needed, that is badly needed. When the Prime Minister made a visit to Ethiopia last month, many issues were under discussion, and this was also one of the agenda items.
The argument is expected to further ease diplomatic travel, promote efficient interaction and strengthen cooperation between Ethiopia and India, reflecting the growing strategic partnership between the two nations. States and Malawi have signed a 5-year, $936 million bilateral health cooperation agreement aimed at advancing the America First Global Health Strategy while strengthening Malawi's health system and protecting against global infectious disease threats. Under the Memorandum of Understanding, the United States intends to provide up to $792 million subject to congressional approval to support Malawi's fight against HIV/AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis and other infectious diseases, as well as to improve disease surveillance and outbreak response. Malawi, in return, committed to increasing its annual health spending by an additional $143.8 million over the life of the agreement. The partnership emphasizes national ownership, accountability and co-investment, building on Malawi's progress toward achieving and sustaining the 95-95-95 HIV/AIDS targets through integrated and government-led service delivery. The MOU represents a shift away from parallel NGO-run system toward strengthening Malawi's public healthcare institutions with expanded focus on maternal and child health, polio eradication, global health security and digital health solutions to reach rural communities. Officials said the agreement is designed to create a more sustainable and resilient health system in Malawi while reducing global health risks that could threaten the United States and the wider international community. Moving on to our business headlines, European Union has officially removed Nigeria from its high-risk list for money laundering and terrorism financing. The designation had for years forced European banks and business partners to apply enhanced checks and stricter documentation on transactions involving Nigerian entities, a situation analysts say slowed trade and raised the cost of cross-border business. The move is a major boost for Nigeria's global financial standing as the European Union removal of the country from its list of high-risk financial jurisdiction is expected to ease trade, reduce transaction bottlenecks and strengthen investor confidence. This development follows another key milestone in 2025 when Nigeria exited the Financial Action Task Force FATF Grey List, signaling a renewed level of trust in the country's financial integrity. Nigeria's removal from the EU high-risk list builds on a landmark achievement in October 2025 when the country was officially taken off the FATF Grey List of nations under increased monitoring for weaknesses in financial oversight. That delisting, according to the government, followed more than 2 years reforms across the banking sector, law enforcement agencies and regulatory institutions, including stronger anti-money laundering frameworks and improved transparency standards. Mozambique's government will only begin negotiating with creditors and debt restructuring after securing an agreement with the International Monetary Fund, President Daniel Chapo said. The president outlined a phased approach, saying the immediate priority is a new IMF program designed to stabilize the economy, reduce dependence on natural resources and restore investor confidence. What we want at this moment is to conclude the agreement with the IMF and then move on to the aspect you are mentioning, namely the negotiation of the debt with international partners. Chapo said, "We want to establish trust first." Chapo highlighted that the country's economic prospects have improved following its removal from the Financial Action Task Force Grey List and restart of liquefied natural gas projects by Total Energies SE and ExxonMobil Corp. However, he noted that the significant contributions to state revenues from these projects are expected only in the next decade. The president addressed questions about the $900 million bond due 2031, which currently trade with a yield near 12.6%. Now to sports. The FIFA World Cup 2026 has sparked an extraordinary global response, with hopeful fans submitting over 500 million ticket requests during the 33-day random selection draw phase that ran from December 11 to January 13. Applications poured in from fans in all 211 FIFA member associations, demonstrating the worldwide appeal of the first tournament to feature 48 teams. Fans submitted an average of 15 million ticket requests every day, validated through unique credit card information. Beyond the host nation, the US, Mexico and Canada, the highest number of applications came from Germany, England, Brazil, Spain, Portugal, Argentina and Colombia. 500 million ticket requests in just over a month is more than a demand. It is a global statement, said FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The FIFA ticketing service will now check that all applications meet the rules and household limits. Where demand exceeds supply, tickets will be distributed through a random selection process to ensure fairness. Fans will receive an email no earlier than February 5 to learn the results. Successful or partially successful applicants will be automatically charged. Finally, the Namibia Football Association (NFA) appointed Portuguese Marcos Antunes as the new head coach of the country's futsal men's national team ahead of the CAF Futsal Africa Cup of Nations AFCON 2026 qualifiers. Antunes brings a wealth of international experience to Namibia, having featured at 2 FIFA Futsal World Cups, Lithuania in 2021 and Uzbekistan in 2024, the NFA said in a statement. He most recently guided Angola to a silver medal at the 2024 CAF Futsal AFCON, underlining his pedigree on the African stage. The NFA added the 49-year-old UEFA licensed coach holds a Portuguese qualification in futsal and is widely respected for his tactical discipline, player development philosophy and competitive mindset. His appointment signals Namibia's ambition to strengthen its futsal program, build a competitive national team and make a strong statement in the CAF Futsal AFCON 2026, the country's football governing body concluded. Next, let's check out the weather forecast across Africa. That's it for the hour. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.